Hey guys, welcome to another episode of My Something Random, where everything on this channel is, well, something a little bit random. Today is no exception, but first, before we get started, be sure and hit that like and subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all the content that I produce. So if you're like me, you love getting out in your shop, you love making stuff, you love using your imagination, your creativity to see what you can make. But at the end of the day, I'm sure you don't like cleaning up. I don't. So I have tried to come up with a few tips and tricks for you to make your tools work better with your dust collection system. And today I'm going to be focusing on specifically my two bandsaws. Bandsaws are notoriously not that great with dust collection, even if they have a couple big dust ports on them and you've got a fairly strong dust collection system. They don't work that good. So a couple things that I came up with to actually help them work a little bit better and to keep your shop a little bit cleaner. So let's take a look at my first bandsaw, and that's going to be the one sitting right next to me, and that's my Rikon 18-inch bandsaw. So this Rikon here is the big boy in my shop as far as it comes to bandsaws. And starting off with, from the factory, it's got two large 4-inch dust ports. One there, and then I've got one down there. And of course you can see I've got something in front of it and it's not hooked up. And here's the reason why. So because you have two large 4-inch ports, it's pulling so much air that your suction really doesn't work that way. So here's some things that I first came up with to make this work a little bit better. So this tip should work on most bandsaws. And the first thing I did was I put some gasket material all around where the door is. And this just helps seal this door when it closes, because all these little gaps all over your saw, and there is a lot, actually reduce suction for where you need it, and that is close to the throat of the saw and right where your piece of wood is cutting. On the lower section of the saw, I've done the same thing, put some gaskets all the way around. And then looking at the particular Rikon saw, it has this little square thing here where this kind of seals close to the blade, and that is right in front of where this large port is. But what happens is this is not closed off here, so when you have your door that's closed, this gap here is trying to pull air from this entire area here, and it's not very focused, which is right underneath the blade and right underneath the table where you want it pulling the most air. So one thing I did was I came up with a little square that actually fits in this slot, and then it fits fairly tight. I tried to make it as tight as I could, so it seals this section off. So the collector is pulling dust and air just through this area right here. The next thing I did, and this was one of the ones that actually helped a lot, is I sealed in, if you can see without the glare, it's kind of annoying now, all around the lower bushings and the lower thrust bearing with some pieces of 1/8-inch plexiglass. This was actually really easy to make. Just cut out some small squares. Measuring it's really easy. Just cut out a notch here. This just all slides right in, and this can be slid right out if I need to get in there and say change the blade or adjust something. But this concentrates all the suction right up here, right up underneath the blade. And that did a really good job. The next thing I'm going to show you. So the next thing I did, instead of using that lower 4-inch port, I decided to put a connection that ran up over the top of the saw and straight down, and it zip tied onto the height adjustment for the blade. And so as I lower this expandable tubing moves with the height adjustment. So I'm getting a real good suction from underneath the saw as well as one right here. And it does a much better job of keeping this area clean and keeping your shop clean. I do find that I still get a little bit on the table, but it's nothing like it was before. And I literally would have stuff all over the floor from this saw. So this is my little guy in the shop, and this is my 10-inch deluxe Rikon bandsaw. And I'm pretty much doing the same thing to this one other than the overhead collection. And I'm going around and I'll be sealing with gasket material all inside. I haven't gotten any yet, so I'm not losing suction through the gaps in the door. And I went ahead and already built one, a shroud for the bottom, which was equally as easy. Anybody can do this. You can get some 1/8 inch clear plexiglass at the hardware store. This cuts really easily on the saw and seals in all around your lower blade settings, so all your suction is right here. Now, I was finding on this saw that it loses a lot of air through this bottom right here, and of course the top, but that's now sealed in right under your blade. So we'll get some gasket material, put it along the door, and just do its best to make this little small hose setup work a lot better than it did before. And the last thing was I made myself a small zero clearance insert with holes so all that suction can get the most out of the dust that's being created from this little bitty guy. Hope this helps somebody keep your shop a little bit cleaner and makes it more enjoyable to get out and create something. Appreciate you guys. Be sure and hit the subscribe button and leave a comment below if you have any questions.